Well, hello and welcome to our webinar series. I'm Gary Furlong and with me is Josh Gordon. We're the authors of Strategic Negotiation, Building Organizational Excellence, and we're happy to have you here today.
Hi,
Josh.
Gary, great to see you. In this session, we talked about going through the critical tool that can transform how our organization approaches negotiation, or any organization, the negotiation assessment tool, or as we like to refer to it, the NAT. Our objective here is to show how to use this tool and evaluate your current negotiation capabilities, which is really the first step in identifying areas for improvement.
Yeah, great. So let's dive right into the negotiation assessment tool. So the NAT is designed to help organizations understand their current negotiating capabilities, their processes, their competences across four distinct areas or four distinct levels of competence. So let's walk briefly through each of these, and then we'll give you a sense of what the NAT looks like. Step one is what we call, or level one is what we call ad hockery. In ad hockery, negotiations are essentially reactive in nature. They tend to be unplanned or unstructured, and there's no sort of formal processes anyone has to follow.
Now, let me give an example here to build off of what you're saying, Gary. So imagine a tech startup that's negotiating supplier contracts on an ad hoc basis. And each negotiator, for better or for worse, has their own approach leading to varying terms and conditions. And one deal might secure great pricing but lack flexibility, while another one might offer favorable terms but a higher cost. And that lack of standardization, that lack of a standard process leads to very unpredictable results here.
Yeah, in other words, ad hoc results, which is why we call it ad hockery. The next level up, the first level of real competence, is repeatable competence. So in this stage, organizations start to put in some standardized negotiation processes that get followed each time, and these processes can be repeated consistently for results.
Yeah, so here let's consider a mid-sized manufacturing company that has developed a set of negotiation guidelines for its procurement team. And these guidelines include checklists, standardized contract templates, and as a result, the company consistently secures favorable terms for materials and services, reducing costs and increasing flexibility, quite different than the ad hockery that we just visited a moment ago.
Yeah, so in repeatable competence, there's this repetition of good process that ends up delivering consistent good results. But that's only level two. Above repeatable competence, we then move into, with more skills and more knowledge, into adaptive flexibility. And it's a higher level of maturity where organizations can adapt their negotiations, tailor it to each specific negotiation, while still using as a foundation the repeatable competence processes.
Yeah, and here you've had the benefit of learning from your past repeated negotiations and now figuring out that sometimes that consistent process isn't serving you as well as you want. So let's think about a global pharmaceutical company negotiating partnerships for R&D, research and development. The company has a robust framework, but can adapt here its approach based on the partner's culture and strategic goals. So now you might start to have different approaches for different partners given their persuasion styles, their culture, their key goals, all of those types of things. And this flexibility allows us to create tailored agreements that maximize value and really foster the long-term collaboration. And for the untrained eye, it might look a little like ad hockery if you were just peeking in from the outside because you see some variety of what's going on, but it's quite different than that. And it really is the next maturity off of what we were talking about from the repeatable standpoint.
Yeah, absolutely. And then the highest, the fourth level, is what's called optimized performance. And this is where virtually every aspect of the negotiation process is optimized for each negotiation. And a lot of times that's done jointly with the negotiating partner, that the two parties jointly work on building the process, which then serves both parties' needs, and you end up with highly efficient and effective outcomes that maximize value for both parties.
And this is something where I always tip my cap to Canada. You all do this with a bit more frequency than we do in the States, but you really demonstrated the value in this. And let's take, for instance, a leading automotive company that has embedded this negotiation excellence into its corporate culture. Well, every negotiation, whether with suppliers, unions, distributors, aligns with the company's strategic objectives in innovation, quality, and sustainability. But that this partnering or this optimized performance that we do here really becomes often industry changing or shaking up some of the norms and standards, all for the benefit of creating more value and really maximizing your process and your outcomes both.
Yeah, it requires a very high level of trust between the parties that doesn't happen from ad hockery to optimized performance in one step. You have to pass through building repeatable competence, becoming more flexible and adaptable, and then looking at how we absolutely maximize with this optimized performance. So those are the 4 levels that the negotiation assessment tool looks at and assesses. And once we've kind of looked at those, we want to dive deep into the negotiation assessment tool itself. The tool basically asks various questions designed to assess the organization's capabilities across a number of different dimensions.
Yeah, just to illustrate, obviously we're not going to go through all the questions here. That would be very productive, but it sounds like things like this. Does your organization have a formal negotiation strategy aligned with its overall business strategy? Are there standardized processes and guidelines for conducting negotiations? How effectively do negotiators adapt their strategies based on the context of each negotiation? And to what extent are negotiation outcomes tracked and analyzed to inform future negotiations? Obviously, just a subset, but it gives you an idea of what we're probing for here.
Yeah, yeah. So administering the NAT involves a systematic approach. So typically it's conducted by a cross-functional team within the organization. They get together, they identify and review the standard NAT and see if there's other questions that need to be specifically asked for some of their processes, and then administer it to people, the teams who negotiate, the teams that support the negotiators, as well as senior leadership as along the way, so that everyone has some input and we get various views on how effective are we at structuring and building frameworks in negotiation to help us maximize value on a regular basis.
Yeah, it's all quite scalable to the size of the organization, so that the depth and time frame of the assessment can vary. For a thorough evaluation, we definitely recommend at least a multi-week process involving surveys, interviews, document reviews. And just to illustrate here, for instance, a large retail chain might engage in that over a month involving all major departments. And then the results there really highlight some of the inconsistencies in their negotiation practices and start to give you some of that move forward plan. So we go from descriptive to prescriptive here.
Yeah, absolutely. And as you said, Josh, it's very scalable. With one management group that was tasked with negotiating a union contract, we did the NAT in 2 hours. We sat down because it was a small group and we extended it to a few of the senior managers that oversaw it. But the whole thing was done in about 2 hours and very quickly revealed where some of the major gaps were. So it is highly scalable along the way. Now, remember, diagnosis is the first step. Understanding where those gaps are in your negotiation capabilities is critical for making improvements.
Yeah, and if you're looking to build off of this further, we encourage you to check out Strategic Negotiation, the core book where this is all contained, Building Organizational Excellence for a detailed sample of the NAT, all modifiable to your organization. There's many other tools there as well.
Yeah, and bear in mind that the next webinar we're going to be running is going to take you into repeatable competence in depth. Then we're going to take you into adaptive flexibility in depth and finish with optimized negotiation strategy and competence, the optimized performance level 3rd. So we're going to go deep into it so you get a real good sense of that. But it starts with the negotiation assessment tool to understand those gaps.
Yeah, thank you to you, Gary, for the conversation today. Thank you to those who are engaged in our webinars. And if you're looking to continue to build your knowledge and your ability around strategic negotiation, we strongly encourage you to go to our LinkedIn site for the book. And we will continuously put out content that will help drive your knowledge base and skill set forward.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We hope to see you following the book, and see you at the next webinar.